Looks like she's about a 2. Hey everyone, I'm Jake Thorne. Hey, it's starting to warm up. We're into the middle of spring, kind of early summer months are just right around the corner. A lot of our ewes are starting to lamb. We've got some green grass, and what that means is parasite season is just right around the corner. Hey, one of the main parasites that we're concerned with in small ruminants is Haemorrhagis contortus, which is a blood feeder. And so one of the great ways to determine if your animals are infected with parasites is using this FAMACHA technique. This is really a cheap, efficient way of testing your animals to determine if they're suffering from anemia. And so right when I started this video, you might have noticed I was holding this ewe, and where I'm actually looking to test for FAMACHA or this anemia is right in that lower portion of the eyelid. So this technique really includes just pulling down that lower eyelid, covering the top, covering the eyeball there, and then looking at the coloration of that tissue. And then what we do is we compare that tissue to this FAMACHA guide, which is a 1 through 5 scale. Animals with a 1 have bright red tissue, obviously are not suffering from anemia. We wouldn't expect them to have much of a worm infection. On the opposite end of the spectrum would be a 5, which would be if you look at that eyelid and it's very, very white, that animal is in a serious state of worm infection, needs to be treated immediately. Obviously, there's some intermediate steps there. Usually a 2, and even in some cases our 3s, are animals that are okay and don't necessarily need to be treated, but there's some circumstances where that might not be the case. That's all dependent on the context of your flock and the situation. A 4 is certainly an animal that needs to be dewormed. Again, there are some other ways to determine if your sheep are infected with worms, like fecal leg counting and looking at some other symptoms such as bottle jaw and whatnot. But this FAMACHA test, as I mentioned, is cheap. It's easy to do. You can go out, catch your animals, and just like that, you can make that comparison. Now, this little card that I've got here, this is actually a certified FAMACHA card. And if you want to become FAMACHA certified and receive this card, there's actually some steps that you need to go through. Online, actually through the University of Rhode Island, you can go to their website and watch a series of 4 15-minute videos on parasites and parasite control and recommendations for treatment. Then you actually take a short quiz, and then finally you submit a short video showing or demonstrating the technique of FAMACHA, that cover, push, pop technique, in which you cover the eyeball and then expose that lower membranes there to make the comparisons to the coloration chart. Again, you can go through that series of steps online, submit that in, and then you can receive your own FAMACHA card. I'd really encourage you to at least check this out. There's a lot of great information in those videos, and this FAMACHA card is very handy to have on hand to gauge those infections in your animals. Hopefully this was helpful. Thanks and have a nice day.